Happy Wednesday, everyone. Okay. Welcome to our meeting. I'm Ruben de la Cruz, one of the directors of Wednesday meetings.
And I'm Dixon, and we are excited to have Edaine from MGO today to talk with you all.
Thanks, everyone. I'm very excited to, be with you here today to converse with you. Please let me know if I should speak, louder or what. But yeah, very excited to be with you today to talk about the Ideal Intern and Associate. As I speak from a public accounting firm experience here at MGO. So a little background about myself. I have over 10 years of public accounting experience, auditing publicly listed companies and privately owned entities. Accounting took me to different geographies. I've worked as an accountant in Singapore, and I've also worked as an auditor in London and, most recently here in Los Angeles the past 7 years. Pretty fun experience, where the career can take you. And I'm very excited for you guys as well, and what, the future is in store for you. I have both my IFRS, or the International Financial Reporting Standards license, as well as the US GAAP license here in the California state. So yeah, it wasn't too long ago though that I was like on your end. I can still kind of remember when I was an intern and when I was starting and stepping into the corporate world. And that is very much why I'm excited to, share with you right now. It was 10 years ago, but it, kind of doesn't feel like it. So hopefully I can still relate to that experience. So choosing my career or where to start, where to target internship and professional experience, these are, kind of the decisions that you are probably making at this juncture of your, life. But we'll dive into this discussion of intern versus associate. So what are the differences, at some level? We know that they are both, new professionals. So we kind of expect similar outcomes, like probably like a blank page, right? You want to start and get to know, the company where you're going to be interning. Very eager. Experience is still limited, right? The technical kind of, you still know kind of by the book, but the practical application is not yet there. I remember I was like, how come Excel file is being used so much in the corporate world and they're not really being talked about in the colleges, right? And I was just like, that should be part of our curriculum, right away. So those are the very new ones that I would be like, oh, when I was starting, I would have wanted more of. But what I was trying to say as well is that intern and associates, they're also, kind of both new. So when we open up our offices or the firm to both of this type of new individuals, we would, very openly welcome them and really tell them that, hey, please do ask as many questions as you can. There's no stupid questions. There's not too much questions. We would definitely want you to become an experienced associate, the next year, right? That's the goal. And even as an intern, we wanted to give you a glimpse of what it is to be an associate, so that you can come over into our firm as full-time. All right. So what qualities do you think are important? I think we have a small group, so feel free to chime in and let me know what your thoughts are.
I think having a clear communication really helps in a working environment.
On point, definitely. Any others? Okay, we'll put it here. I think it's on the next slide, but overall, we would definitely want a good cultural fit, but Dixon will go to the communication later. I think there's a whole slide about it because that's how important it is. So thank you for sharing that. But, good cultural fit, right? Do you contribute positively to the culture of the company, right? At any juncture and, company that you intend to go to, you would definitely want to look at your vision and mission. You would definitely want to look at their culture. Is it aligned with what you are also, what your goals are? And do you believe into their, values? Because that's really, it doesn't seem like it, but, companies spend so much time building culture. And, we have a lot of seminars talking about and highlighting the culture that we wanted to emphasize as a tone at the top of the company. And, for example, for MGO, the firm values are ideas rule, build something, straight talk, help first, and go beyond. So, these are the things that we definitely want to exemplify and kind of let our people know that, your ideas rule. You can definitely talk and straight talk to us and we can, build something out of it, and it's collaborative, right? And, help first or people first, service. Teamwork and collaboration. What kind of person are you in a team, right? Are you an organizer? Are you a doer? Are you a researcher, right? You play with your strengths, but at the same time, you kind of acknowledge what you have to improve in yourself as well, right? Attention to detail. What's an example of an important error that you would kind of catch? I would say for me was as simple as a spell check. I have a lot of sometimes like work papers would go up until the partner or quality reviewer, and they would be like, the spelling is incorrect on this one. There's too many, spell checks. So attention to detail is very important as well. You would want to definitely pass a work paper that's, your best reflection of your hard work, right? You want to read through it before you finalize it so that, you get just, the very small or meaningful feedback instead of as simple as a spell check. Critical thinking skills. Are you resourceful? If you get stuck on something, what do you do next? Do you, wait for someone to help? Or do you ask a team member? Do you try to research a solution first? I get that a lot. Like in the past, when I was starting, I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know this. And you're just like, what do I do? Do I look at prior year? Okay, I've read through it. It still doesn't make sense. What do I do next, right? Oh, I Google. And then I just burned how many hours when I just simply asked sometimes and they were like, oh, it's this easy or something. So you kind of weigh it, right? You try your best, but at what point, right? If this is too time consuming, double check if this is the right path that you're going into without, knowing that what we do is kind of project based and everything is about, time and expense and all that considering. But yeah, especially nowadays, Google is our best friend, right? I'm pretty sure you do that even at school, but even for us professionally, we do have a lot of resources. We have I don't know if you're familiar with IB's insights where we get research, industry researches, but sometimes as quick as Google, we just check in what is IFRS versus US GAAP on this, on this particular topic, right? Hungry for knowledge and asks a lot of questions. No such thing as too many questions when you are new to something and need to learn. Better to check in frequently than go far down the wrong path. I definitely encourage, for me, if my associate and intern asks question, I would really say, oh, this person is really interested to learn, right? They really wanted. I was gonna say, be a sponge, right? Absorb as much. That's why I think it's kind of critical or kind of challenging right now with this COVID environment where, we're not in the conference room setting. Because before, if we go on a field work, for example, in an audit or tax, you go on a field work and you have your whole team with you, from the partner to senior managers down to the associate, right, or even the interns at particular time. And we have our own tasks, but then the partner would ask question to the senior, and you are in that one room and you can hear them talk, and then you're like absorbing whatever they're talking about. And sometimes I actually stop what I'm doing and just listen because I'm interested into what they're talking about, right? It might impact what I'm doing because at the end of the day, it's one project, right? I think that's what's being taken away right now with COVID, where we're just on Zoom calls and basically the partner would talk to the in charge and you wouldn't know, or you just have fixated into your task. So what we do to bridge that right now with this environment, we actually would still put like an hour onto the calendar to put everyone on the call. And even if no one's talking, sometimes I can just hear, a baby crying or whatever, but we're all in that one. We're trying to, imitate or simulate the conference room environment. We're like, hey guys, I'm just gonna go eat my dinner, but I'm just gonna keep this open, whatever, so that we can still keep talking and trying to, absorb as much when we talk about certain topics, right? Anyways, yeah, that's how we are for like, and it really, please ask questions away because it really tells you how interested you are, and that's really how you will learn. Client service mentality, we take care of our clients and each other. Do you exemplify that level of care, right? One thing that we really want is to be responsive to our clients. Whenever we actually sell a client, we would tell them, hey, we would definitely give you a turnaround response time of 24 hours, kind of like that, because that's what they want. They want someone who's like on top of their, projects. And definitely this cannot be undermined, positive attitude. Public accounting is already, challenging as it is, right? But I feel like positive attitude of the team, the can-do mentality, because at the end of the day, it's not just you, it's a whole team. And as long as you are, you can do this, you can, that attitude in the start of the day and just, organize your thoughts and know when to bring things up to the next level and to resolve it with your manager and the partner, then definitely something that's tough for you is, bread and butter for the partner. It's like easy answers, right? All right, so communication, what's most important here, Dixon, is your answer a while ago. Definitely, communication with your team, with your clients, and with the management. Why is it so important, right? Like I said, public accounting, it's more driven by deadlines. That's not, I think even in a private setting, anyone, in a private setting, if you're an accountant, you have your monthly closing, right? You just have to, for you to get to the end goal, you just have to keep emphasizing where you are and what you need to get there, right? For audit, for example, you have different types of clients. Some clients, they want to hear from you on a daily basis. If they don't hear from you, they would be like, hey, what's up? Like you're like on their speed dial. Or some clients, they want a weekly update, right? So weekly is enough. Or some client, like it's hard to get to find them, and then they would suddenly come to you and say, where's my financials? Where's my audit report? And it's like, well, we haven't been talking in the past 2 weeks. And like, well, because I was assuming you were working on it. So it's that miscommunication. You have to develop a relationship with your clients to get to know their working style, right? And the same is true with your own team, right? There are associates who just are hesitant to bring up because they want to resolve things on their own. And there is a point where you just have to check in, like, hey, is there any roadblock, right? And as a manager, I have like several clients at a time, and I can't look at my associates and interns, every few minutes or every hour. But what worked for me sometimes is I would do an end of the day check-in with them, or they can chat me anytime, and I can, look at it at my most available time, stuff like that. But definitely communication is important. So how can you improve, right? Like I said, both interns and associates, very new to the firm. or sometimes if you haven't been an intern on that firm, you're pretty much like, you're also very start of your career. It's definitely normal to be hesitant, to be nervous, if you don't know the people, right, on your company, knowing that they're 20 years, 30 years, close to retirement, very, very experienced people. And you're just like, I'm here and I'm new and I don't know what what can I contribute, right? But you were hired for a reason. They know that they started from, same as you before, right? So just be open to the possibilities, be open to, developing a relationship and learning as much. Take on leadership roles. I cannot tell you how before I was like, every time I talk, I would be like so nervous. And even now, I think that's really one thing that I've been constantly trying to improve. Like right now, I have to present at audit committees. And when I was an associate, I wouldn't for a million miles like think about doing that. I would be like nervous so much, but as exposure gets you there, as long as you keep doing it, you keep challenging yourself and saying that if they can do this, I can do it. And after 5-10 times, you're like, okay, I think I know what I'm talking about. But, it really gets better. Engage in your projects and coursework, meeting deadlines, learning why we do something instead of just how to do it, right? Like, on an audit, as an auditor, you would be, you want to test the existence of cash because, that's an asset and you want to know, you want to do a bank confirmation. So the team tells you do a bank confirmation and you just do it, but not knowing why, which is because the assertion is this is an asset and you want to test existence, which the client would typically overstate because it's their asset, right? It gives you better, background to it, and you're like, okay, I'm confident this is the answer. This is what would get me there, and the audit committee would be comfortable if I do this path, right? Before, and that's best as an intern and associate, before you get to the complex stuff, which is business combination, revenue, inventory, those are, you want to learn and start from the easy stuff, right? Which is typically the way we share and give tasks. Intern, we give you, the less risky areas. So as long as you master those, then you can take on the next, level, which is good. So have a mentor. This is really, really important. I think almost all firms kind of have a mentorship coaching structure, because they want you to definitely succeed, not just part of a firm, but succeed in your own career, be the captain of your own career. I remember, that's really one of the important things. Like no one's gonna look out for you except yourself, but at the same time, to have a sounding board, right, with your coach, who is typically, for me as a manager, it was a partner, and then for an intern, it was like a manager, who's been there at least 5 years ahead of you. Just talk it out to them, right? Like, hey, I have interns who would be like, I really don't know if audit is for me, or tax, because my friend went to tax, or it's really, corporate world is very big, right? You can definitely go to a private entity and start being an accountant there, or their tax accountant, their financial analyst, or whatever role, or you can go to public accounting and kind of handle different clients in different private entities before you actually choose which industry you want. And that's the path that I took. Like, I didn't know when I was starting, do I want banking? Do I want tech company? Do I want food and hotel industry? I don't know. So that's why I went to public accounting, because I was like, oh, you would be assigned to different industries. Then I can say, and those industries, I had actually developed friends with, the controller there, and get to know like, hey, what their life is like, who's more stressed, or something like that. Kind of gives you that perk of peeking into the industry before actually committing to it, unless you really know what you wanted. So yeah, that's mentoring, that's advisor. Research accounting, try to understand what's going on in the industry, especially nowadays. There's so many new standards that comes out, right? We have 606 just came out, 842 is going to be leases, right? Revenue recognition. Just be on the know with I don't know, like a FASB, AICPA, what do you call it, newsletter. Then practice. Have your elevator speech, right? This is one of the quickest, easiest way. Just have your how many seconds introduction of yourself, right? The elevator speech. Honestly, I look at myself in the mirror when I was starting to say, okay, I'm Edaine. I started in public accounting 10 years ago or whatever. Like, you just have that good summary of yourself that you can sell, and introduce to people, that gives them a view of how you are career-wise and kind of personal too. I would sometimes throw in on marketing proposals that I live in Upland, so I'm close to your, I'm close to your company, and I can, cater to you better, stuff like that. You just kind of personalize it, keep practicing. Interviewing, definitely don't limit yourself, right? Just go out there and ask away as many questions, and also improve from each interview. Software and technology skills, like I said, I already gave you a hint. Excel is our best friend in corporate world. I think most companies are. There's a lot of Excel 101 out there, learning how to do, I don't know, like VLOOKUP or stuff like that. It's very what do you call this one, helpful. And then of course your nonverbal communication, learning how to put email, putting it formally together. I remember I have an associate before who was just so afraid sending an email, and I was still a senior back then. I was just laughing so hard because he not to laugh at him, but he's just like, he's waiting for me. I was like, can you read this? And I was like, really? Just send it. I was like, no, read it first. Or like, if you're dealing with Japanese clients, they actually, can't remember, is it Han? They would put like, instead of saying Yasu, Mr. Yasu, right? For us, we say Mr. Ruben, Mr. Dixon, right? They would actually put Dixon Han. I don't know. It's like those etiquette kind of. So those are things that you kind of pick up and improve on, and you would say, oh, I'm into the corporate world. Create your own journey. Definitely. Do you have any questions for me before I dive in and introduce MGO, which is our company as well?
I have a question in regards to like culture. So you mentioned before that you used to work in the UK, right? Like, what was the biggest like culture shock working at between like the US corporate world versus the UK?
Oh yeah, very interesting question. I didn't actually know that this is very simple too. In UK, in their office there, what they do is, this is like the light answer, and then I'll probably give you a better answer later. But they actually ask everyone around them whenever they go to the pantry to get a coffee or tea. For there, it's like tea, coffee, water, right? They would be like, do you need some tea? Do you want some tea? They would ask everyone around you, because in the US, we just go to our pantry, like, who cares about everyone? You just get your own coffee and then move on with your life and do whatever. In there, it's like they have so much, I don't know, like kind of relationship. They would be like, I have one like London person, like a British guy, and I was with another person from the US, and the person in the US was like in the phone, and I know it's gonna take a while, but this guy wants to go to the pantry, and he asked me already, and I said I don't need anything, or everyone else, but he wouldn't go because he's waiting for my friend who's still on the phone talking to somebody that looks like gonna take a while, because he's asking. And I was like, hey, you can go. She can get her coffee later. It's okay. I'm like, no, no, no. He was waiting. That's how nice they are. They're like, kind of, you have to learn how to do that. Then the next day we're like, okay, then we have to do that. We have to be like, every time I go to the pantry, I'm like, you want some tea? And they actually ask you to do it. They're like, yes, can you get me some tea, please, with a dash of milk? I'm just like, oh my gosh, how many is a dash? Like, I don't know how many, but that light culture, but it's important. Then you wouldn't know that actually that would be inappropriate if you just do it yourself, whatever. But that's a light answer to that. The other ones, they're very, I would say, work-life balance is more emphasized as with any culture other than US. In on their holidays, because I was used to it when I was here in the US, that you would still check on your emails and bring your laptop. And I told my team, just reach out to me if there's anything urgent that comes up. And I'm bringing my laptop with me where I'm going, right? And then they'd be like, no, don't bring your laptop. No, we'll cover you. They're super, like, they want you to have your holiday, right? And I tried to do that, or like I kind of forgot about that when I came back to the US, and kind of doesn't look at my email. And I'm like, oh shoot. I remember they're like, hey, you didn't look at your email at all. I'm like, oh yeah, because I haven't been doing that there. I'm like, you have to go back here in the US culture, simple stuff like that. But yeah, there's perks, and there's, I loved working there, definitely. But it's also like a corporate world of its own, different type of challenges, right, to what we have here in the US. So thank you, Dixon, for that fun question. I hope I kind of answered it properly.
Oh yeah, you did. No worries about it.
Any other questions? Okay, I think I can move on, but the rest of my the slides is really about getting to introduce you our firm, which is MGO, Macias, Jean and O'Connell. We are, we have 14 offices and more than 450 employees throughout the United States, including New York, LA, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, San Diego, Chicago, and Boca Raton. We are awarded the Best of Accounting designation in client satisfaction by an independent research firm, clearly rated. Our services include assurance, tax, advisory, business management, staffing, outsourced CFO, real estate advisory, wealth management, and capital markets. I can talk a little bit about the difference of this, service lines, but typically interns and associates would fall under assurance, tax, or advisory. Right? Assurance is primarily auditing, right? That's where I started. And I switched to advisory right now. Kind of advisory, it's financial accounting and advisory, where, before I was reviewing and auditing the financial statements and the books of a company, of a client that they did for 1 year. I'm going to go there and look at it for 1 month and say to the investors, yes, they have presented their financial statements reasonably, fairly, and without material misstatement, or you're good to rely on it for your business decisions, right? But now, as a financial accounting advisory, I'm on the other side preparing the financial statements. Over 10 years of auditing, I was just like, I want to try the other side of it. I want to be the one preparing it so that I get to learn the whole, set. And it really helps because now I know what the auditor would be looking for, right? I can kind of put my trail properly for a quick and efficient audit, stuff like that. And in auditing, you can get assigned to different industries. In financial accounting advisory, we also have associates and interns. The same way, you can get assigned to different industries. We have hotels, we have not-for-profits, we have cannabis industries. I think we have a list later of different industries, but you can get to learn how to record their transactions for them in financial accounting advisory. You talk to their investors or to their owners, and they tell you what transactions they've worked on, and they give you copies of debt agreements or equity agreements, and you put that on their books. you do the debit credits for them, kind of, right? And then you get to actually work on the QuickBooks, Sage, or those accounting systems. Whereas in auditing, you don't get to experience those, like QuickBooks, Sage. You only get a pick of those. You're like, oh, get me some reports out of that. That's why I moved to financial accounting advisory, because I also want to learn how to actually enter debits, credits. I only know that, theoretically. MGO is a member of the BDO Alliance, providing us with nationwide resources and technical expertise. I'm pretty sure you know BDO firm. One of the fastest growing professional services firm in the country. Our annual growth rate is 3 times the industry average. I think right now we are around like 64 of the top 100 audit firm. So we talked about all of these different service lines. Please let me know if you have any questions on the service lines. I'll be very happy to try to answer them for you. If you're considering any particular one, I know I get this a lot. Sometimes for my clients, they were thinking for their sons or daughters. They were like, Edaine, you're in auditing. I want my son to go there, but he wanted tax. What's the difference? So please let me know if you also want those discussions. Happy to, kind of put my 2 cents on those. Industries, I mentioned a little bit a while ago. We have media, biotech, life science, cannabis or hemp, entertainment, sports and media, food and beverage, gaming, hospitality and tribes, government contractors, healthcare, nonprofit, real estate, and state and local government. We are actually auditing the biggest state, California. So yeah, but that's a different group because it's, kind of specialized industry. Any questions on this ones? The main thing as well here is cannabis industry, because there's not a lot of firms yet who entered into this industry, but we are one of the pioneers. We basically, I think, audit like the biggest cannabis what do you call this one, businesses so far right now, especially when it gets to going to be federal or approved and stuff like that. But so the typical career path in MGO, you start as an intern, and when you become full-time, you'll be an associate. And then after a couple of years, or you become an experienced associate, then an experienced senior. After a while, you'll be a supervisor and a manager, then senior manager, then a director and a partner. It's pretty much, I would say, the same like my previous firm. We also have the same kind of path. The only thing sometimes is they don't have director anymore. Just go to partner, or there's senior 1, senior 2, senior 3. So yeah, but easy, right? Easy steps to walk through, and until you become expert in the industry.
Gemma has a question.
Mm-hmm.
She said, do you get to choose the industry that you want to work with? For example, food industry or a large corporation?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So our scheduler, and in your interview, you would be asked that. They would ask you, what are your top preference industries, right? And you would say, my number 1 is, food and beverage industry. My number 2 is this, right? Then they would definitely, as long as there's that client at the moment, then they would definitely, try to, match you with that, because of course we would want to listen to what you wanted to be exposed to. And if there's none, then we would talk through it with you and say, when we win this client, then we would put you on, this client, right? But it's definitely communication. You just have to really emphasize, this is the industry that I want. Can I please be assigned to this on my first year? And if there's none, then at least we would tell you right away. Or if there is, then we would try to get you there. But yeah, definitely we listen. So we would definitely want to match that as much as we can. Any other questions? Okay. So diversity, equity, and inclusion, D&I, very, very important. We know that every individual working MGO is different and that all our differences culminate in comprising our greatest strength, which is our diversity. Our diversity, equity, and inclusion program is rethinking the way in which we think about the various genders, ages, races, and ethnicities that exist in our organization and how we can ensure they meet their fullest potential. We have, female, I think we have different, later we'll look at it. Our vendors selection process prioritizes these organizations, and we work actively to advance economic opportunities within the communities that we serve. So we have Jewish American Heritage Month, firm-wide live discussion with Ken Goldman, a partner in Jewish American, about his heritage. We have Asian and American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We had a firm-wide live discussion with partner Yarvik Kim's interesting stories of Korean growing up in Russia. We also had Dr. Colonel West speaking engagement for Black History Month, which was, a firm-wide live discussion about racial equality, social justice, challenging preconceived notions, and bettering our community. We have coffee and conversations where we, talk about Disability Independence Day or Women's Equality Day. Honored Disability Independence Day on July 26 by interviewing one of MGO's founding partners, Ernie Jimmy, about his history with the firm, his accident or disability, and the obstacles he has overcome since. He continued to work for years at MGO afterwards, and is a shining example that MGO supports our team members, that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind into. And Women's Equality Day by interviewing 3 of the firm's newest female partners. So these are, very, very, I would definitely encourage you to join a specific, group when you join the firm or in any other company, because, belongingness is really important. Sometimes, you want to also, you have different struggles at any point. So having someone in a group to talk through things with is very important too. Women's equality conversation. Let me try and, how do we do this? Play this. Let's see if it works for you.
We can't hear anything, I think.
You can't hear it?
No, I think you have to share your sound.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Give me a moment to try and understand that. Oh, here you go. Share sound. Okay. Let me see if this.
I think something that would be extremely helpful is to continue to allow for remote working. I know with COVID, that's obviously helped open the door to the remote working environment. And now that, we really have that in place, I would say if we can continue to allow that, especially for moms and women that, have just had children or think it might be helpful to be home with their children, it provides mothers with the opportunity to not just fulfill their obligations at home, but to also work a demanding schedule. I mean, assuming they have the help that they need, I do think that would be one of the most helpful ways to make the industry more inclusive for women.
I actually think that we've all come a long way. Difficult for women to do are now much more achievable, and there's a platform. I on how I handle situations where there may be some bias. I usually just ignore it and, stay confident, rely on my skills, knowledge, and the support of my colleagues.
I think a lot of women, including myself, have really had to change our communication style to make sure that we can keep up with a lot of the men. And that in turn has probably caused, negative perception of maybe who I am or who, some of these other women are. But I would say that women, they're more cognizant of how they're coming across when they're speaking. And so I think that's one of the differences in style. But what men should be sensitive to, I mean, guys, just understand that it is tough for us. And even if we don't show that, even if we internalize it and you don't see it and we look like we're acting tough, deep down, it's intimidating. Oftentimes I'm sitting in a room and it's a table full of men, and that is intimidating even if you don't see that. So please, maybe what I would say is just try to be a little sensitive to that.
All right. Okay, so right now, these are the available opportunities in MGO. We are in need of 2, I think, full-time assurance and fast associates that can start on January to, or August of 2022, depending on the graduation date and CPA eligibility. We have LA in 2 assurance associates and 1 fast associate and 2 assurance interns. On the Bay Area, we have 2 assurance associates and 1 fast associate, and 2 assurance interns. So there's plenty. I mean, there's chances to get in. So same with New York, we have 2 tax associates and 3 fast associates there for the financial accounting advisory. If you are for additional offices, if interested in other opportunities, please apply on our MGO careers website. Completing application is not the same as completing the application at MGO careers website, like the Handshake or university job portal. So every candidate needs to complete the full MGO application. Interviewing team reviews candidates and invites candidates to final interviews. Currently, this is virtual through WebEx. Offer letters get sent out ASAP after final interviews take place. So please visit MGO website. And normal deadline has passed, but you can still apply and do the Spark hire. Just reach out to recruiting@mgocpa.com. So Spark hire interviews, this is where the candidate records a video response to a question, and then they get prompted for an additional question. Total of 5 to 7 questions, and should only take about 5 to 10 minutes in total. We are using Spark hire in lieu of on-campus interviews for now. Yeah, so please feel free to reach out to recruiting@mgocpa.com for any questions. Offer letters, yeah, we'll definitely send that out. But I guess that's the end of the presentation for today.